Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at Tibault's Will. Tibault's Will is an older unique that has been updated in 1.50, and well, I'm not really sure I like the changes that they made to it, but we're going to talk about it. It went from one of the most powerful uniques in a season to, it's just kind of, it's okay, I guess. It has 28 to 42 all stats on it, which, because it's a generic item that's usable for everybody. And the 42 all stats, of course, gives you more than just your main stat. It gives you resistances, it gives you overpower damage, it gives you crit, it gives you dodge chance, it gives you lots of things. So it's not exactly a terrible thing to have all stats. And it also helps you activate those Paragon nodes on the board that might be a little bit too far away from your main screen. On top of this, it also has 873 maximum life, which is just your basic amount of maximum life on most items these days. It has 5 to 13 maximum resource, which is really nice because if you're scaling maximum resource like Ramalati's Magnum Opus, Bone Spirit, Bone Spear, Kick, Beastfall Boots, there's so many different things to scale maximum resource now, so definitely nice in that regard. It used to give you bunch of combo points, which was kind of crazy too, but that was that's a long time ago now. It also gives you damage reduction. Now they changed the damage reduction to damage reduction while unstoppable, which is kind of weird. It gives you 10.5% to 15% damage reduction while unstoppable. Not everybody can maintain perfect unstoppable, so the damage reduction is going to be like sometimes active and sometimes not. They also brought down the multiplier on Tibault's Will. It's now 10 to 20% increased damage, and this increase happens while you are unstoppable. So as long as you are unstoppable, you get a 20% damage bonus. And on top of this, it also is active for 5 seconds after you leave the unstoppable state, which is pretty nice, of course, because sometimes your unstoppable state doesn't last for very long. So all you have to do is activate it. You get the 20 times multiplier, and then it stays active for 5 seconds after it finishes. You also gain 50 primary resource whenever you become unstoppable. So if you can spam your unstoppable status, you can just pretty much maintain your resource constantly. Like, let me give you an example. Let's say you're a Nature's Fury Druid and you are utilizing, say, I don't know, like Storm Strike or something like that, and you're spamming Storm Strike, which is, of course, or your Claw, and you're spamming that, and that's resetting your Earthen Bulwark, and you're basically just spamming Earthen Bulwark over and over and over again. This means that you're going to be able to get 50 primary resource every single time you spam Earthen Bulwark, because Earthen Bulwark can, of course, make you unstoppable. And this means that you're going to be able to just have infinite resource from spamming your Earthen Bulwark. So, not exactly terrible. The special flavor text on this is the younger apprentices think wearing heavy plate in the swamps is foolish. They fail to understand that our armor is our legacy, and without it, we are nothing. Crusader Pembroke. So for this particular item, there's so many different builds that could potentially utilize this with the unstoppable aspect, and it definitely has been used in a lot of builds up until now. Obviously, anything that can make you unstoppable will give you this buff. Obviously, Wrath of Berserker makes you unstoppable. You can get unstoppable through various other effects, like Challenging or Rallying Cry will make you unstoppable when it's active. You can also get things that technically make you unstoppable, like immunity also technically makes you unstoppable, so like Blood Mist on the Necromancer, but unfortunately you can't really attack while you're in Blood Mist form, so it's not really as useful. There are the Golem on the Necromancer makes you unstoppable. Earthen Bulwark can make you unstoppable. I mean, there's so many various ways to make yourself unstoppable that it's fairly easy to take advantage of this.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Ginger Evil Mentor here. Why bother farming when you can go to MMOEXP.com and simply purchase your items in gold? GGM would have you farm the items. What a pathetic being. Use code GEM Ginger Evil Mentor for 6% off your entire purchase. And don't tell Ginger Gaming Mentor that I was here.
The maximum resource, of course, can be used to scale things like Ramalati's Magnum Opus, as I talked about earlier, which is certainly not terrible. And they're still a very decent pair of pants. They're just not as good as they once were because, they got nerfed down a little bit. And on top of that, there's also a lot of other interesting items that can go in the pants slots now. Temerity's much better. The Ariat's Bearing, which is the new pants for Barbarian, lets you summon, like, ancients all over the place. And, Axial Conduit. And there's just so many fun like other pairs of pants. The Tibault's Will, it really hasn't gotten worse so much as there's just so much competition now that a lot of the times they just kind of end up getting put to the wayside. I still think that they're very effective in terms of like restoring resource and things like that, because of course every single time you become unstoppable, you can of course restore some of your resource by becoming unstoppable, which is certainly not terrible. And the damage multiplier, while it's not as big as it was before, it's still there, and it's basically permanently active if you can keep your unstoppable status up. And then more so, the 50 primary resource that it gives you is actually really good if you can spam your unstoppable. And I think that that's like one of the best things about this pair of pants still, is any class that can spam unstoppables to the moon can literally just restore all their primary resource all the time without any issue. Shroud of Kandurus is one of the new uniques for the rogue that also makes you unstoppable, and you can get that effect all the time actually by spamming Dark Shroud, and it's just kind of crazy. So if you use Tibault's Will with Shroud of Kandurus, you could get permanent 50 primary resource, like literally constantly. You're just chugging 50 primary resource. On top of that, like I said, the druid with the earthen bulwark can spam unstoppable as much as he possibly wants. The flame shield can get pretty low now. They made it so that it's not like permanent, but you can definitely get flame shield to the point where flame shield is nearly, spammable at this point. They definitely nerfed the permanent on the flame shield, but it's still close to. Close enough where you should be able to maintain this buff on yourself constantly and also restore tons of resource as well. So not bad. I think that's pretty much it with this particular pair of pants. Where do they come from? They actually come from Duriel and Andariel. So looking on Diablo 4.life here, if you just go ahead and put in Tibault's Will, you'll see Duriel and Andariel. And of course, nowadays with the greater affixes, you can get greater affix rolls on these. And depending on what you're trying to do, what I would want is probably the greater affix on the maximum resource if I'm scaling my resource damage. The damage reduction while unstoppable could be really interesting too if you can keep unstoppable up permanently, but not everybody can do that. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me, even when I'm just going over one of the older uniques, which has been updated in 1.50. And as always, keep watching.